to the NHL Fringe podcast. I'm your host or co-host, Mike.
I'm just sticking with co-host. I'm not even going to talk about the other one. I'm Dave.
Okay. You can find us on NHLFringe.com or find us on Twitter at NHL Fringe or search Facebook and we're there, NHL Fringe podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Zombie Sheridan or hit my blog aurorawasteland.com.
You can also find me on Twitter at DavidRon, DavidRonn. And as I keep saying, I don't have a website. I should probably fix that. But in the meantime, go to www.theguysfromblank.com, read my blog, read Sean's blog, watch our sketches, and tell people all about us.
I guess we should probably also mention that we have another podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of just realized this is our third episode, and I'm like, wait, we have another show. You could find us on our other podcast, MJD Podcast, just mjdpodcast.com. And yeah, you can listen to that if you want to.
Wow, so that was about
It's not hockey related, so
telling people where to go for our other stuff. So
that's right.
I think that's enough substance for today.
Okay, so next week's show we have. Have a good week, guys.
This was fun.
Okay. We haven't received any suggestions since we did the last podcast, since that was about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Man,
and we haven't put it out yet.
I
Okay,
expected our
so-
fans to be a little bit more on the ball, though. Come on, guys.
I know. Those 6 Twitter followers are not doing it. They're not pulling their weight.
To be fair, 2 of them are us, so...
That's fair. Okay, Dave. Yeah. Hitler has won World War II.
Jesus Christ.
He has won World War II, and we are on an alternate timeline right now.
What? Really?
But we're on an alternate timeline, but we're in 2013. I think that's the year right now. But
Okay,
Hitler is still around. He's an old man.
Okay, so we're in the aftermath of World War II, having Hitler won it, but we're in our current time period.
Exactly.
So the only thing that's different is mostly we're speaking German instead of English. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we speak in German. We have Wiener dogs. Okay. Hitler is a huge hockey fan. He loves the NHL.
I want to see how he could be.
He wants to buy a team. Okay? Now, David, you are his second in command. You are, I was going to say Heisenberg, but that's Breaking Bad.
Are you thinking Himmler?
Yes, you are Himmler.
Okay.
You need to give him advice about which team to buy because he is unsure about which one to get. Now, you have to take into account, you don't necessarily want to give him just the straight-off best team because that would look like favoritism. Because Hitler as the ruler of the world, that would look unfair. So he wants a team. He doesn't want the crappy Flames, though. So he needs a team.
Are you going to be finding at least one way to insult the Flames every week? Is this a thing that's going to happen?
You kind of have to. I mean, they insult themselves just by,
We'll see you in the cellar.
Yeah.
It'll be a battle for that first pick.
Okay. We'll pretend you're Heisenberg because that's fun. That's a lot funnier. Heisenberg. You have to help Hitler pick a team. What's your initial pick? What would you give him?
So I don't want to pick the best team.
Well, you don't want it to. He doesn't want to seem like he's picking favorites. He doesn't want to just be like, I'm taking the best team later, losers. But you want him to have a good team, a competitive team.
So Buffalo's out.
Yeah. I'm thinking if you give Hitler Buffalo, he'll probably have you executed.
That would be my guess, yeah.
Even if you're making the cleanest crystal meth ever, he will have you executed.
You can't give me any Breaking Bad spoilers because I haven't watched it all yet, so...
That's okay.
I understand.
I won't.
I know that much. I've seen, I think I'm up to 3.5 seasons, so I know the reference, but,
That's fine.
If you start divulging anything in this little scenario past season 4, I'll kill you.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
To come after you.
Yeah. You'll have your SS.
Yeah. Who do I pick? Well, there's just on what basis do you go? Like, do you go with the most blonde?
Well, okay. Well, think like this. Yeah, pick a team you think that best represents Hitler. in the
Oh my
NHL.
No matter who I pick,
You can send all comments to @DavidRon on Twitter. That's 2 N's.
I don't remember saying anything about 2 N's. That
Yes, support other David Ron.
I didn't say anything about Hitler. I don't even like hockey. Oh shit. I don't know. I was so not prepared for this. I was researching like random stories that happen in hockey, and now I didn't know I had to be researching German hockey players.
Okay, well, I would think Hitler would rule out all Canadian teams. He wants an American team, so he can hold it over the Americans.
Okay, I was going to ask what your basis for that was, but that makes sense.
So
I think
I'm thinking he eliminates all them.
Okay, that yeah.
I think you can get rid of all, like you said, Buffalo, Florida, even Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think
you can get rid of a lot of those. Columbus, Nashville, they're all gone. I would think maybe Hitler wants
Washington.
That could be, yeah, holding the nation's capital. Yeah. That would be good. I would say maybe LA.
Yeah.
They're a good team, but like you're holding Hollywood hostage.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say probably. Well, and then I mean the question is, who's the best team? Are we just picking Chicago because they're last year's Stanley Cup champions? So do we not give him to Chicago because of that?
Yeah, maybe, or no Chicago, no Pittsburgh. Those are too obvious of like too good. Okay. Although Pittsburgh's like 9th in the league or something.
I was going to say, like, at this point, the two teams I wouldn't give him would be, because of that basis, would probably be Boston and Chicago. And not because I'm a Bruins fan, just because they made the finals
they were in the
last
finals.
year, and they're a pretty solid team. So,
fair
no
enough.
Boston, no Chicago. I would say LA is actually a good call, but I would say LA.
Yeah, I like your Washington's.
Maybe
the capital.
NYC. Yeah. The Rangers.
Okay, so now, let's say he's bought the Washington Capitals.
Okay.
What changes is he going to make to the team? Is he moving the team? Is he changing the name? The colors? Like, are they wearing, like the swastika?
Oh my god.
Is he making everybody like have little Hitler mustaches?
You have gone offensive in so many of our podcasts, and yet this is the one that is almost the most offensive, and yet
is he like, bringing in genetically modified players? Like, if he buys Washington, does he then like kick like what's his name, Ovechkin, back to Russia?
Well, I mean, if they won the war, then that leads me to believe that they probably ended up defeating Russia in Russia.
That's true. Well, then, yeah, you know what? The Capitals is probably a good pick because it's like you're holding the U.S. capital and probably Russia's best player, all in one place.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You know what? The best thing about doing a podcast like this is that I Googled, would Hitler like hockey? just to see what would come up. You get to Google things like that. And there is a Facebook page called "If Hitler Was a Hockey Player" for the Ducks. Would he like this? And basically it's some guy's blog about the Ducks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You get to Google fun things when you do a show like this.
It's true. I would assume that if he's the owner, he changes probably the color of the jerseys. Although,
I don't even know what does Germany's flag look like?
It's just
can't picture it.
Black, red, and yellow.
Okay, so maybe he kind of changes the team to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which really is just a matter of adding in some yellow.
Yeah, they play a couple preseason games in Berlin. That's about it.
Marcel Gottsch would play for them. Isn't he German? I think so.
I don't know.
Do you think that he just in his infinite wisdom, like invading Russia in the winter, do you think he just changes his team to all Germans and then they just get shit kicked? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna buy this team, we're gonna replace them all with Germans. This can't lose. And then
That
we
could be.
realize that Germans suck at hockey.
Well, maybe he just starts giving away like citizenship to Germany. Like Sidney Crosby is now a citizen of Germany. You know, and he's their best player.
Yeah, he just buys them over. It's like, we pay you money if you come play for Germany.
Okay, well, now what about the other GMs in the league?
Uh-huh.
Hitler makes himself GM as well of the Washington Capitals.
I feel like
exactly.
GM
and
coach,
so
owner, president.
Hitler calls Jay Feaster and he's like, "Give me your Monahan player. I will give you 7th round draft pick." Are you just like, yeah, well, sure, here you go?
In all fairness, I feel like Jay Feaster would probably do that anyway.
That deal, anyways.
That sounds like a great plan. How can this fail?
Yeah.
But others, I feel like there'd be a lot of GMs that he could kind of strong arm, and then there'd be guys like Brian Burke. Can you imagine Brian Burke and
Brian Burke versus Hitler?
That pressure.
I remember hearing about those Kevin Lowe things. Oh, I know. I remember hearing Kevin Lowe and like him having like, you know, heated like battles.
Yeah.
You imagine him and Hitler? Fuck.
Oh my God, there would be chairs flying through office windows in both arenas. And you know it's inevitable that Brian Burke is going to be the Flames GM as soon as he ends Easter.
Oh yeah, any day.
It's just a matter of time. And so, like, this is a thing that's happening, and I'm not a huge Brian Burke fan, but I can't wait to see, like, at least we get interesting press conferences, because, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to say the Craig McTavish press conferences have been way better than Steve Tambellini's. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like, sometimes I hate Brian Burke, and as a Flames fan, I've had a few players who have come through our organization that I've absolutely had nothing but disdain for. When Brian Marchment came and played for the Flames, and Dean McCammon, there's been a few guys I'm just like, how the fuck are you guys letting these players that I have absolute disdain for play on my team? But they do it. Brian Burke is one of those guys. I hate the guy, but at the same time, like, you're pretty funny when you do a press conference. So I will abide until you really piss me off. And you can't argue with his results. I just think he's kind of an asshat.
Oh, that's true. I agree.
But back to the topic at hand.
But
I feel like
him against Hitler,
I think he would outwin, or he would win out in a battle of wills against Hitler.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah. Brian Burke versus Hitler. Well, let's ask our fans.
There you go.
Who do you think would win in the epic GM battle? Hitler or Ryan Burke? You can tweet us your answers at NHL Fringe.
And depending
hashtag
on
Hitler versus Burke.
It's David Ron with 1 or 2 N's.
Yeah. Yes. Hashtag Burke versus Hitler.
Outstanding.
Sounds good. All right. What have you got this week, Dave?
So, again, in looking for random hockey stories, I've got. So I found a site. It's dirtydangle.com. And this is a couple of years old. This is from Friday, December 16th, 2011. So this is a couple of years back, but as people have kind of written in, and it's the craziest thing we've seen at hockey games. So I'm going to give you 2 here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's just people from their own games and everything. It's not NHL players. It's just things that, you know, people have had happen in their rec leagues and everything like that.
Right.
So the first one, in the same later years of juvenile age goonery, a scene straight out of Happy Gilmore occurred when a crazy 6'4", 225-pound guy on my team got kicked out of the game. During the second,
that's a large gentleman.
That's like Zdeno Chara size right there.
Yeah,
but I mean 225 and 6'4".
I'm sure he had the same build as Chara too.
Like he's tall and he's got some like that's not fat.
That's crazy.
Lean.
No, that's like massive shoulders and like.
So during the second period intermission, he put his skate on his hand and went into the other team's dressing room to try and fight their team with his skate as a weapon.
That's crazy. So how tall did you say he was? He was 6'4"?
225.
220 pounds.
Like,
Okay,
that's
so
a
you're
3
sitting
foot
in the
reach
visitor's
with a
dressing
skate.
room, and you're like, oh, God, I'm exhausted. We've played 2 periods of hockey. We got 1 more to go. I got my equipment half off. I can barely move. And a 6'4", 220-pound man bursts through the locker room door with a skate on his hand. I'm just like, fuck, get it over with quickly, because I'm not going to move.
I'm done. I quit. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, just
kill me now.
just cut my throat here. I'll just lay here. Just
It took my coaches. It took my 3 coaches to restrain him and force him out before anyone was injured. My head coach tossed the guy into the shower just like when Tom Hanks throws Kit into the shower to cool down in A League of Their Own.
That's awesome. Was he yelling, "There's no crying in hockey"?
I don't know. I really don't. But I saw that and I roared.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's got to be in a movie.
I know. Well, and I feel like I've heard of, like, you kind of hear people joke about that, like, but to actually have somebody who says that, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't know who these people are. I'd love to give this guy a shout out. But this one,
if that was you, the 200 and whatever pound man, 6'4", in the shower with your skate, at David Ron, 2 ends.
Or if you're the guy who sent that one in, let me know, because I want to talk to you. But on this same website, this was my favorite one. I roared as soon as I read it. So, following the post-game handshakes during a summer hockey game, the oldest guy on my team, around 55 years old, was one of the last guys on the ice, heading for the exit when he was hit by the Zamboni.
What?
I've seen a guy get hit by a Zamboni.
What?
He managed to hold on to the front of the resurfacer while we got the Zamboni driver's attention to finally stop after pushing him 20 feet.
Oh my God.
The driver was in shock and couldn't believe he had run over a player. Thankfully, there were no injuries, but we did not see the Zamboni driver ever again, or the case of beer he promised us. Could you imagine?
Okay, so you're driving the Zamboni, you just then there's a
Can you imagine being the guy? How, like,
yeah.
Okay, you're 55 years old. You're skating, you're doing your cool down lap or something. How do you not see a car coming at you? I think I should get out of the way.
This is like the scene from, like, I don't remember what movie it is. Is it Austin Powers or whatever? Where he's gonna run the guy
With
over,
the steamroller?
but it's when it's going so slow. Zambonis don't move that fast when they're on the ice.
No, I remember growing up and playing hockey and thinking the Zamboni couldn't be any slower because, like, all I want to do is get on the ice for the game or for practice or whatever. These things don't move that fast because if they do, then they basically run into the boards and ruin the Zamboni, like our Zamboni driver Barhead did once. But
right.
How do you do that?
That's awesome.
How do you, A, as a Zamboni driver, let that happen, but B, as a hockey player, let that happen?
I don't know who's, like, I almost feel like it's more the player's fault.
Right? Like,
in a way. But I mean,
you gotta think that it's, I mean, from a Zamboni, in the Zamboni driver's defense, you assume the guys are off the ice. You're not looking for players because typically the ice should be empty. And it's probably hard to see, depending on the Zamboni and,
over the front of it or whatever.
Over the front. You have your head down as you're cranking the, the water or whatever. Yeah. I get that. I can kind of defend him. Plus, it's hard to, again, you're just not expecting anybody. When the Zamboni's on, everybody, except for the refs who are moving the nets, should be off the ice. As that guy, what were you doing? How do you not see that thing coming?
Yeah, and they're not quiet.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, do you remember growing up and, like, playing in places like Linaria where they had tractors? Like,
yeah, exactly.
We played in rinks growing up where there were tractors as Zambonis.
It was tractors and Zambonis, tin walls, and like
like you can even now when I'm sitting in the dressing room, I can typically tell when it's ready to go because you can hear the Zamboni stop running in the dressing room. Granted, he's 55, maybe he's deaf, but
I guess maybe still his eyes work, right?
I would assume so.
Even if he can't see that well, it's like there's a smudge moving towards me.
Like it's a big block of something moving towards me. I'm sure it's fine.
I should probably stand here and wait till it hits.
He'll see me. Or maybe the guy was playing a game of chicken. He's like, well, we'll see who moves first, me or the Zamboni. No, did not see that coming.
Maybe they had a beef and he was like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna run him over.
I love the end. We never saw the Zamboni driver again, or the case of beer he promised us. Like,
that's awesome.
Hey guys, don't tell anybody about this. I got a case of Canadian for you. Just let's kick this on the down low, you know.
Yeah.
Now, and that said, like, again, growing up in our town, some of the people who worked at the arena weren't necessarily the people of the best repute.
No, that's true.
So
that is true.
The fact that they never saw the case of beer kind of makes sense, and the fact that he would offer a case of beer to kind of keep it hush hush. I'm like, I kind of need this.
Yeah, it all lines up. Yeah.
I can't afford another firing, so if we could just keep this between you and us, that would be great.
Okay, here's what I think really happened. Okay. The Zamboni driver was a hitman. He had to try to take out the target, the old man on the ice, probably some CEO holding, all his stock in some company, and his family wanted him knocked off.
Yeah.
So they can have the money.
Insurance scam. It's always an insurance scam.
Exactly.
That's the only logical explanation.
Honestly, I don't know how it could be anything else.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so once again, if you are the guy who's posting this or the guy who got hit by the Zamboni, we would love to hear from you. Please.
Oh, absolutely.
Get in contact with us. I want to know more about this. I want you to be our special guest of the week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of special guests, who do we have on next week?
Yeah. Unfortunately, both Craig McTavish and Joe McGinley bailed on us this week. Weird. Yeah. I don't understand.
That is strange.
But next week we actually have Brian Burke.
That's funny because I also got Hitler for us.
Perfect. There you go. It begins.
Yeah. All right. See you guys later. Yeah, but you don't want your sweatpants touching your cocaine.
Kill me again. Kill me one more goddamn time.